Hey guys, welcome to Thursday. Today is Thursday, and we are so thankful that you're here. Of course, it's day 19 of 21 days of prayer. Thank you for persevering. Thank you for leaning in to 21 days of prayer. And so this is just an awesome time for us to just spend a little extra time with God, extra time in the presence of God to really hear His voice as we get ready for the harvest that's coming in September. And so we've been talking about loving God and loving people. You know, we talked about yesterday why we are to love. John 13 says, so now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other just as I have loved you. You should love each other. Your love for one another, will prove to the world that you are my disciples. And we said also yesterday that who are we to love? Do not seek revenge or bear grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. Who are we to love? We are to love our neighbor as ourselves. And it says how. Let's talk about today. How are we to love? John 13 again says like this. So now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other just as I have loved you. You should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. And so Jesus says, as I have loved you. Now there's a big change between the old law to love our neighbor and the new law to love one another. The old law said love our neighbor as we love ourselves. To love our neighbor as much as we love ourselves is to take half of my plate of food and give it to my neighbor who doesn't have any food. It is to take one of my 2 coats and to give it to my neighbor who doesn't have any coats. Neighbor love has limits. The neighbor love only goes so far. When we are in danger, guess what? Or we're in need, this type of love usually stops. So, but to love one another as Christ loves us has no limits, right? And so it is not to think of myself at all. This kind of love simply means taking my whole plate of food and giving it to my Christian brother who has none. And I am not to love my brother as I love myself, because in the Christian life, self is gone. And so what does Galatians chapter 2 say? It says, so verse 20, so it is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who lives in me. This life that I live now, I live by the faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave his life for me. And 1 John 3:16 says, we know what real love is because Jesus gave up his life for us. So we also ought to give up our lives for our brothers and sisters. So what are we saying? So we the love we're given, the life we live in, I'm not living it on my own. I'm living it through my relationship with Jesus Christ. And as I wrap this up, we'll say it like this. If we are to love one another as he loved us, we must know how he loved us. And he loved us well. And so the answer that Christ loved us to the point of laying down his life for us, his love was selfless and his life was sacrificial. And guess what? If we're to love our neighbor or to love other people, we have to be selfless and sacrificial. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow on the Faith for Today podcast. Enjoy your Thursday.